Hey everyone, Jehuty here. That is slight cold, which you can hear most likely on my voice, but I did promise a video on Friday, so of course I'm delivering one. I'm here with a video of my compiled 5 tips I think beginners and intermediate players can use to improve their Tekken game. And after thinking a while about this, I think this is really helpful. Maybe not on the higher Tekken level because they already know these things, but definitely beginners can really make do of these tips and know what to look out for. Plus, I also want to talk just a bit at the end of the video about the winner's mindset and what you need to think about when you're going into Tekken matches and how to improve your game. Anyway, thanks, and look forward to the 5 tips. The art of sidestepping. Well, Tekken being a 3D fighter means that you can move forward, backward, and of course into the foreground and into the background. Now, maybe you're like me and you still have to work on your backdash cancel, but if there's something you can already utilize, it's the sidestepping. Sidestepping and sidewalking is very important in this game. It really opens up certain possibilities which you thought were not possible before, and it's very important that you start utilizing them and implementing them into your game. What I advise you to start doing is looking in what general directions you can sidewalk or sidestep certain characters. You can Google this. I use a certain page, Steam page. You can just type in Tekken 7 sidestep. I use a certain Steam community page where there's an ongoing discussion on what characters you sidestep to what direction. And I find it very helpful and it updates all the time. Of course, you can find your own. Once again, this isn't a cure for all. So that means you'd later on have to delve deeper into what direction exactly for certain moves you need to step into. After all, characters have homing moves, moves which track to one side or moves that track to both sides. And it's very important that you later on learn this by yourself. But for now, this helps a lot in the beginning and intermediate play. And of course, it's important that you check for your own character to see in what direction they're steppable, so that you pick on when your opponents are trying to step you. What's also important is that you open these sites with the sidestep guides whilst you're playing. And what that does is that whenever you meet an opponent, you immediately know, oh, let me just quickly look it up. And then you pick up the habits, and then before you know it, you've learned most of the matchups, at least in the direction which you have to step into. And I think that's very helpful. The next few points are related to practice mode, and that's how to get more out of practice mode. And if you're anything like me, you just start a practice mode back in the day and just keep practicing combos. And some of these combos you already got them down, but you keep doing them again and again and again. And there's so many other aspects of your game plan which actually still need work. First thing you can really utilize is actually finding out what strings you have and if they're natural on combo. What I mean by that is, just because the first hit connects, does that mean you're guaranteed the other few hits of the string? And how you do that is you set the CPU opponent to stand, and then of course to guard all. And why is this important? It's because you want the first hit to connect, and then you want the CPU to block all other hits after that. Now, if you do this by going through your move list, and you will then later on find out what is natural, so in other words, what is guaranteed if the first hit connects. And then as you're seeing with Lee, with back 3-3, only the first hit connects, and the second one is blocked automatically. This is important because sometimes we're just throwing out certain moves over there because it's a string, but it's actually not a natural combo. And now you want to know if it's a natural combo, and therefore you go through your whole list and find out. As well, there's something else which you need to know is that certain moves, certain strings, give you a guaranteed combo if the first hit hits on counter. There are also some which, like the second hit hits on counter. Those are the exceptions. And it's also important to then utilize those moves, and then you also need to find out. So you set your player character to have those moves hit as counter, and then you go through your move list as well. This is very, very important. So as I said, You go through your whole move list, like with Lee here, and then you try out, you start with the moves which you use the most, and then you try the rest which you sometimes use, and you figure out what works, what doesn't work, what is a natural combo, what if it's just the first two hits, if it's just the first hit, and then you adjust your game plan accordingly. Frame data. I don't know where you stand on the spectrum, but frame data is something nice which was added into Tekken 7 in Season 3, however, it is something you have to pay for. Now, how it works is that you get an overlay within practice mode, and of course my replay and tips, and of course if you're in a player match and you're not playing currently yourself, and you're watching others play, you can also toggle it off as an overlay to see the properties of the attacks being executed. And this is really, really nifty. However, if you're one which doesn't want to pay for the frame data, which I'm not going to judge you for, there's a free alternative. I'm displaying right now rbnorway.org, and this is a good site which displays all of the frame data and properties of an attack, so also counter properties, and I think it's a very good free alternative. However, I do have to say that if you do have the money, I mean it's just the price of a coffee or something, do buy the frame data because it's no additional step, it's within the game and you see it immediately, and of course through that it's more efficient. Now let me quickly explain how frames work, because if you don't know what they are, it's a bit hard to grasp. Now, frames are the pictures you see on your screen, and Tekken 7 displays 60 frames at a second. That means that within 1 second you see 60 pictures, and they generate that image which you perceive as being smooth. Now the quickest moves in this game are 10 frames, and so what that means is that if you want to retaliate after somebody attacks you, the quickest option you have to do that is 10 frames. And the ones which are known for with the Mishimas are the Flash Punch, which you can see here, 112. And what's important is that you know that the move which you block is actually punishable. And what that means is that if your quickest move is 10 frames, that means that your opponent has to be at least -10 to punish. So if it's -10, -11, -15, that means you have a guaranteed follow-up after you block their attack. If it's -9, -5, -2, or even in the plus frames, so +2 or something, there's no way you can retaliate. So that means maybe it's even in your interest not to do anything after they attack you. And this can be very, very, very helpful. Now, what you need to understand is that your own character, you need to understand what are your go-to punishment tools. Your 10 frames. What can you execute as 10 frames? What can you execute as 11, 12, 15? And now to quickly help you a bit with that is also to know that certain moves can be punished most of the times, even though they don't seem to be so. Now you have moves which launch and have pushback, and in most cases these are -15 frames or more, and they're therefore launch punishable. So you need to find a move that closes the gap and then hits them. Throw breaks. Now, throw breaks are one of my own personal weaknesses. It's something I used to work on a lot, but I don't work on enough nowadays. And it's something I want to bring up as a topic because you don't get good at it overnight. It's something you have to work on as you're also working on other aspects of your Tekken game plan, be it movements, be it your sidestepping, be it your Korean backdash, which you're trying to learn, your pokes, or your combos. It is part of the fundamentals and you have to learn it over time, so you have to keep at it. Now why I'm mentioning that is that even though Tekken 7 has the simplified throw break system, that generic throws which are 1+3 and 2+4 can be broken with either 1 or with 2, you have characters which have a complete throw game, and what that means is that they can throw out throws which look like generic throws, but in reality they are command throws, meaning that you have to be specific. If it's a throw which must be broken with 2, it has to be broken with 2. If it's a throw which has to be broken with 1, it has to be broken with 1. So what you have to look at is their arm, when their arms are coming out, is it their left arm which is coming out first, which is forward, that means you have to break it with 1. If it's their right hand which is stretching out forward first, then you have to break with 2. If it's both at the same time, that means you have to break with 1 plus 2. And you really have to build up the reactions to do this. Now, the best method to do this is to get somebody who has a complete throw game, like Jin here, and utilize his throws. And what you do is that you set him to be your opponent, and then you select the 3 throws which have to be broken with 2, 1, and of course 1 plus 2. And you set them all in. If you want to start easier, you start only with 2. So maybe you do a throw which needs to be broken with 1, and a throw which needs to be broken with 2. And then later on you can mix and match that, and then later on you just put all 3 inside. Whatever helps you get to wherever you need to go. And the moves which you can see here, these are the moves if you want to pick them out of the command list. I used them by recording, but you can just pick them out of the command list. Here they are. And you have to do this all the time. Of course, you don't have to use Jin. You can use Anna, Nina, Marduk, Hwoarang, Julia, all other characters who have a complete throw game. And just keep at it, and eventually you will get there of breaking these throws. And I wish you all the best. So here we are with the 5th point, which is watching your own replays. And this is the last point before I get into the bonus segment, and it's very important that you utilize this. Either you're using my replay and tips, which is a good addition in Season 3, or you record them yourself. Like, that's what I do. I just record them over the PS4 and then watch them over the gallery. Why this is important is that you have certain habits which you pick up during a match, but you don't actually see them until you actually watch a replay. Now, you should be utilizing the replays to see what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what was working for your opponent, and what wasn't working for them. So it's important that you watch your wins, and what's maybe even more important is that you watch your losses. It's good to know why you won, and it's also good to watch those matches and think like, oh yeah, I won, but here's something I could have done better in this situation. But then when you actually watch your losses, which is a bit more painful, you come into the confrontation that maybe you don't know the matchup. Maybe you're just using certain habits of certain moves which you're getting away with before, but they were getting punished. So next time you have to adjust accordingly and maybe not utilize that move that much. And these are all things which are shown to you when you see the replays. It's important that you watch your wins as well, because they give you insights on why you won, but mainly you also need an ego boost, because if you keep watching losses, it will affect your mindset, which is also not very good. As said, my replay and tips helps because it shows you certain things like if you can duck certain strings, and kind of recommendation for punishment or recommendation for combos. Maybe not always the best combo, but for people who are just starting up with the game, it's good enough. And I definitely think you should be putting this into your game plan. So we're here at the bonus segment, which is winner's philosophy or winner's mindset. And here I just want to talk about what kind of frame of mind you need when you're actually playing Tekken to consistently get better at it, and then of course consistently winning. And why I'm bringing this up is that with all of the points I mentioned before, especially like watching your own replays, you're in it for the learning experience. I mean, it's good to win and all, but with each match you should be looking at improving your skills. And with that mindset, you also manage that you don't have too much salt. What I mean by that is, if you're always out to win, when you're not winning, you're building up stress and you're getting salty. Whereas if you're thinking of each match as in, oh yeah, here's a matchup I don't know, let's learn something, then you're getting the benefit of the match even if you don't win. So with that I mean that even very professional players like me is a very good example, even because he was on the top of his league all the time, and then here comes Arslan Ash and just destroys him. And what does he do? He goes, learns, relearns everything he knew till then, learned what he needed to know about Arslan Ash, and came back and beat him. And of course Arslan Ash is going to do the same thing. So next time these guys clash, it's going to test who learned more about the other. So Tekken is always a learning experience, and at the end of the day, we're all learning this game. There may be somebody better than you, but even he has somebody who is better than him. And even the people who are very good at the game have certain matchups which they know they still have to learn certain things. And at the end of the day, there are still certain strategies and the way players play certain characters where there's always something for you to learn. Don't forget, Tekken is a learning experience. There's always a place where you can get better. Beat your sidestepping, your throw breaking, which I mentioned before. All of these little things matter in Tekken. And there are different ways people can utilize this. So there's always something for you to learn. As long as you keep that in mind, that you're here for the learning experience, there's always something to benefit from each match. So keep a positive mindset and make sure you learn something in every new match which you're coming across. Even in the ones where you're dominating, there's always something to learn. Always something to learn. Anyway, that's about it for the end of my video, and I hope you liked it, and peace out.